But that's what it is. And it was interesting, and Jason even said this today in a tweet. It's very interesting on Monday that there were two Pac-12 type writers with, by the way, they could be right, both basically with the same type of stories today propping up the Pac-12 on the same day. And one of them last week kind of got hammered. And Stuart Mandel, we've had Stuart on the show. I like Stuart, the athletic.com, when he was throwing out just like, I don't even see how any way whatsoever that the Pac-12 is not superior than the Big 12. That's his opinion, just like you have yours and I have mine, we have ours. But it does seem as if there are people who have like dug their heels in this is where you're going to go. And honestly, I haven't dug in my heels. I do think the Big 12's in a more power position, and I do think, as Mac Rhodes and Yormark said, they are in the positive, proactive stage, not the reactive stage.
Yeah, if I had to jump on a life raft, I'm jumping on the Big 12s without even question. And I understand the TV ratings you want to throw in my face, and Washington State's got like 9:30 kickoffs that are above them, whatever. Like, that's fine, but I said it last week. Everybody keeps the 9:30 kickoffs, the 9:30 kickoffs, the 9:30 kickoffs. Like, that was the rallying cry. BYU's going to be in the Big 12. Okay, there's 4 weeks of your 9:30 kickoffs. Have Big 12 teams roll through there. Go add Arizona. Okay, there's another 4 weeks that you could do. Go add Colorado. There's another 4 weeks you could do. Go add somebody else. There's another 4 weeks. There's your 9:30 slate the entire season. So your big advantage could be wiped out by just adding 3 Pac-12 teams that are in that region. Now, granted, there's 2 different time zones there. You got your Mountain, which is what BYU's in, and what I think a couple of the others would be in. And then you got your Pacific, and that's where it would be a little bit more problematic because you don't have Oregon, Washington, or those like LA area. I don't know how you would swing that and how much of a difference that would make. But Mountain time zone, that's easy. You have BYU and you add a couple more, and you just, hey, sorry, Oklahoma State, but you're going to go play at 9:30 in Provo on a Saturday night, and then guess what? You'll have a home game next week against Texas Tech or something. That part of it is like the big angle. That's like the big – no, wait. This is why they have the strength, this 9:30 window, and it just seems to me like that's easily dismantled and could be the Big 12's 9:30 window very easily. So I don't know how great of an advantage that really is.
And that's just assuming that the 4 schools they would get if they got 4 schools would be those 4 corner schools.
Yeah.
If Oregon and Washington were 2 of those schools, then that whole, it's the Mountain time zone is moot.
Yeah, how's this even a question is what I wonder. Yeah. But again, I don't know what other little factors, but that seems really easy. I mean, Oregon, Washington, you want to come take care of this 9:30 window, boom, Big 12's done, complete. Add a couple of teams, and that's it. But it's obviously a bit more complicated than that.
By the way, I had something happen yesterday with me. I tried to stay away. I did a podcast with Tim Fitzgerald late Friday evening. Got home, my air conditioner was not working. Someone wasn't able to get there till that evening, so that I would just kind of go ran some errands late at night, like Walmart, whatever. Did a podcast with Tim, came back. And then yesterday, because Paul, for whatever reason, is distracted, my cell phone froze. And so I really stayed off of social media yesterday, which was a good thing. I never felt more comfortable. My phone just froze, and they couldn't reboot it. And so then when I get back on, I realize I have all these things that are out there, and really nothing's changed from what was said Friday. But when I said at the start of the show that I'm not tired of the passion when it comes to college football from the fan bases, the conferences, or whatever. It's just kind of, you want to get to an end, and yet guess what? We're going to be dealing with this for a long, long time.
Yeah, long time. There were people predicting this would be over like last week, right? Oh, you'll hear something today, but Notre Dame's about to make a decision. It's like literally nothing has changed. Literally nothing has changed from last Monday, right? That I can think of. I mean, is anything significant other than just talk? No, nothing's changed since a week ago this time. So, yeah, I mean, if you're tired of it, well, then you better go find something else new to follow, because this is not changing, this is not going to just come to a conclusion rock solid and everything's going to stay in place for a while anytime soon. And even when whatever this next thing is going to be, whatever that is, the Pac-12 teams bolt in, or the Pac-12 getting some fancy, shiny new TV contract that keeps everything great, and they more revenue share for Oregon, like whatever the outcome is, it's not going to be the end of it. There will be more. ultimately. How quickly, who knows? But I think you can read the tea leaves and see that this isn't about just a couple of teams making decisions and then the Big 12 and Pac-12 sorting them out, and then boom, everything's done and clean. No, there's going to be more to this. So, better giddy up or get ready to giddy up some more with this expansion stuff.
Let me tell you about Notre Dame. Notre Dame moves at the speed of Catholicism. Okay, they don't have any impetus to move, and I say that as a person who grew up Catholic and knows that things don't change in the church all that fast. And now they're not even made to do it business-wise either. So Notre Dame will, like, if you ask them, when can we expect a decision on what you plan to do? They can say, when we're good and ready.
Whenever we're ready to do so. From K.S. Kaiser, ultimately the Pac-12 will always be a regional conference versus the Big 12 becoming now coast to coast in a way. That alone pretty much destroyed this dude's argument, talking about somebody from earlier. And again, a lot of you, there's a lot. Hey, so what's changed, David Miller? What's changed in the last 3 or 4 days? Not much, other than really that there are people in contact with each other. You know that there are either presidents and or ADs and or others involved in whatever committees and board members that are talking. I did see this story over the weekend. This from John Canzano, who covers the Pac-12, and he feels like the Pac-12 is in a power position. But I did see this part. The Pac-12 Media Day is coming up Friday. And apparently the Pac-12 has basically asked USC and UCLA, or at least they're suggesting, perhaps based on his report, that their ADs don't show up. Now, one thing about the Big 12, even when they've had their balls kicked in a few times, they've always allowed the team that's leaving or will leave to still be a part of it. In fact, Texas and Oklahoma were a part of the discussion on who the next commissioner was going to be. You can argue they shouldn't have been in that position. They were, though. And so the Pac-12 is throwing down if, in fact, that does occur on Friday or doesn't occur on Friday.
Yeah, the only thing I would say to that is, well, at least with the Big 12, it was like a year after the fact. It wasn't OU and Texas announced their exits after Big 12 Media Days. They did it after Big 12 Media Days, like a week or two after. So everything went ordinarily and normal and whatever, and everybody got out of AT&T Stadium in Arlington, thought the Big 12's future was so bright, and then like a few days later, boom, out of nowhere, this report drops and the whole college football world changes. This, on the other hand, like the breakup just happened like a couple weeks ago, and they're going to meet up here pretty soon. So I can see where, that would not be kosher to see them involved in Pac-12 to-dos, this time. So I can see where that's a little too fresh is my point. Whereas with the Big 12, there's like a whole year to kind of have meetings and kind of,
And maybe even bury the hatchet.
We'll go add new teams.
So one of the note is that the governor of California has been throwing out some of what political people do, and you could like him or not or agree with him or not. But he has no impact on USC, right?
No,
They're USC. A private school, Paul.
He could have theoretically some impact on UCLA, but
he's just pandering to his base.
What Gavin Newsom is doing right now is what politicians do when something happens that's technically under their purview that they've delegated, and it happens, and then there's people who need an explanation. So there are people in the University of California system whose reasons are appointed by the governor, Gavin Newsom, who are kind of, maybe a little bit academically screwed by UCLA leaving and going to the Big Ten. Now, those decisions are made at the school level, and UCLA, believe me, thought about that beforehand, but all they want is Gavin Newsom to be like, well, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. And then what's going to happen is he's going to UCLA and they say, well, what'd you do? And they go, money. And he's going to go, that's the language I talk, money. That's it.
There are and has been reports that they are going to not allow UCLA to use state funds, the California system money, to go make trips to the Big Ten teams. Whether that happens or not, who knows? Should just be talk. And also AD Martin Jarmond, I think it's from UCLA, had just been appointed to the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee by the Pac-12. They took that away from him.
Well, I'll say, how did those no state trips to tournaments with laws that California doesn't like work out?
There you go.
I mean, so they